Hello everybody, this is going to be a demo for the wheel throwing section B of the class of Pottery 1. Here I'm showing you where to find your clay. It's going to be in this bin in the middle of the classroom next to the wheels. Just go ahead and open that up, dig some out. When you get the clay that you need out, make sure that you close it appropriately, putting that plastic first lid and then really tightly, and then covering that second metal lid. We want to keep this airtight so that it doesn't dry out. Here I'm showing you guys how to measure out your clay. We are going to start with 1.5 pounds balls, and so you're going to just put it on there until that measuring thing says 1.5 pounds, and then you're just going to make quite a few of those, make about 5 of them at a time. Once you got them, just kind of slap them together into a ball, set them to the side, and go in on to the next one. Here I'm showing you how to wedge. This is called the ram's head method, and you'll see that here in a second. You can see, there you go. You can see the ram's head. There's the kind of the horns and the face and the mouth right there. What I'm doing is I'm using my palms to push down the clay on either side, bringing that up about a 45, and then back down with my palms, bring it up and back down, and continuing to do this over and over. This is going to create a spiral method on each side. Don't do like what I just did there, where it gets elongated. You want to make sure that you keep it inwards by pushing in and down at the same time, keeping that ram's head formed over and over and over. And then once you get that done, move it 45 degrees and continue. You're going to do this a couple times at least. Do this at least twice. Keep going, and then once you do that, you can pound it back into a sphere. Once you have your balls ready, go ahead and get your splash pan from the shelf above the sinks. You're going to bring that over to your wheel, and from the back end, you're going to see that little plate, and there's a little clip that it slips into. You're just going to slip that into place, make sure it's underneath the clip, pound it in there, make sure it's secure. It has an equal distance on each side, it's not touching the wheel. Then, when approaching the wheel, go in from one side or the other. Be careful not to step on the base. Get your apron adjusted, make sure your back is aligned. And you're going to use your right foot, and it's going to kick with your toes, and then it's going to rock back to your heel as it leaves. And this is going to get it to keep going. It's going to take some practice to do that. So for this, you're going to need a needle tool, rib tool, your stick tool, and your cutting wire. These should come out of your kit. You will also need a bucket with sponge and water. And you can also see I have a wooden board in front of me for when the pots are done. Now, once you're ready to get everything set up, you get your splash pan underneath and locked into place. You have your bucket of water, your sponge, your rib tool, stick tool, cutting wire, and your needle tool, and of course your weighed and wedged balls of clay. You are ready to throw. And if you see here, on the top here, on the wheel head, there are these rings. So what you're going to do is you're going to see that center ring, and you're going to smack that down, shake it side to side slightly, make sure it's stuck. And once that's stuck, you're going to start kicking, get it to a good speed. You're going to use your bucket of water. You're going to put some water down, get it kicking, and then you're going to cup it in your hands. You're going to get that nice and centered. What I'm doing is I'm pushing with my palm. With this palm, you can see here where the clay is. As I'm pushing with this side down in, get some more water, get it kicking. So you're gonna have to kick, throw. And then what I'm doing is I'm squeezing it in to create a cone. It's called coning. So now I have this cone form. You want to scrape your hands off. You want to get all that
excess slurry off your hands. Put some more water on it, get it kicking. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna use this hand and this palm, and I'm gonna go press down. But you always wanna have both hands on it. I'm doing that to show you what I'm doing. So you're pressing down like that, using this, getting it centered. This is gonna take some practice. So more water, kick, and then using my pinkies are always touching the wheel head, the metal head. I'm gonna squeeze together and slowly move up again. And then we get another cone. So what you're gonna wanna do is you're gonna cone up and down at least 3 times. You might need to do more, but at least 3. So I'm gonna go down. And if that wheel head starts slowing down, stop, let go, kick it. But this is the issue here that a lot of beginners have, is when they touch the clay or release the clay, they go really quickly. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna just touch the clay gently, and when you release, you're gonna release slowly. Because if you jerk it, and you release really quickly or hit it really quickly, you're gonna make that off center. And then you're gonna basically defeat all the work that you just did. So we're gonna cone down and back up and then back down. You can see we're pretty, wipe off your hands, pretty well centered there. Okay, I like to use the sponge to kind of clean up that wheel head. You don't want a bunch of slurry or a bunch of clay particles here because it's going to mess you up when you go to do the next step. So practice this for a while, get it centered, and then the next step is going to be called opening. So what we're going to do is we're going to kick, get some water on there, and you can do this in multiple ways. You can use your 2 fingers like that, and go in. You can use 2 thumbs and go in, or you can use your sponge. I'm going to show you how to use the 2-finger method, because that's usually what I do, but there's many ways of doing this. So you're going to hold that, and you're going to kind of take your middle finger and your forefinger, and you're just going to press down, keeping it in the center. And for the first 5 or so of these, we're just going to be creating rings. So I want you to go all the way down to the wheel head, okay? To go down until you can touch the wheel head, keeping that centered. As you can see, I always have one hand supporting the other, and they're touching. So they're touching here. So one hand is always supporting the other one, keeping it nice and steady. My elbows are in. I'm hunched over against my thighs. You gotta create that kind of triangle arc. So you're gonna really keep yourself sturdy that way. So what we're doing is I'm gonna go down, and then I'm just gonna press my hand down, and I'm gonna create a ring. So you're gonna wanna get rid of some of that excess water down there. Clean that out, clean out the inside. So now this goes all the way to the wheel head. I can see the metal. That's what we want. So we wanna do that. And then the next step is to practice pulling it out. And this is gonna help you keep steady. Is you're gonna have one hand here, one hand on the inside, touching the base, the wheel head base, and you're just gonna pull slowly towards you. And this is gonna help you keep control, learn control, steadiness, and the ability to maneuver the clay, okay? So now you can see that inside, that's the wheel head. And now we're just gonna take that, smooth that out, pull it down, compress it, and there you go. And there's the ring. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna do that on Tuesday, and I'll do another demo of how to throw a cylinder, and then on Thursday we'll throw cylinders. Okay? So now that you have that done, we can stop the wheel, and you can kind of look at it. It looks pretty nice. Now you're gonna take your cutting wire, you're gonna get it spinning slowly, not too fast, just slowly enough, and you're gonna hold that, and I like to hold it like this, in between my 2 fingers. Like you have it nice and taut. You're gonna start, and you're gonna touch the wheel head. You can hear that sound. So you're gonna get going, touch the wheel head, and then you're gonna just pull towards you underneath of it, okay? Do not go up and down when it keep that against the wheel head and pull towards you, okay? And once you're done with that, now it is cut off of the wheel. And what you're gonna do to get that off the wheel is you're gonna have a small wooden board to the side. You're gonna get it spinning. Add a little bit of water to it. And then you're going to cut through one more time. Get that water that we just put onto the thing underneath the piece. And once you do that, you can take your board, put it like that, and then you can just maneuver this right onto the board. And there we go. So I want you to make 5 of these, keep them to the side, and then I'll go around and look at them. But we're not gonna keep these. We're gonna put them in the reclaim, and I'll show you how to do that, okay? So once you get that off of the wheel, you wanna get it spinning. Take one of your ribs, or the stick tool, and you're just gonna scrape all that excess off. You're gonna get that, and you're just gonna put that into your water bucket, slop bucket, and you're gonna take your sponge, get it spinning good and fast, and you're just gonna kind of scrub it and get all that excess off. And clean that wheel head, and you're ready for the next one. Okay? Looks nice and good, nice and shiny, ready to go on to the next. All right, now that you've made your rings, it's time to try to make your first cylinder. To make a cylinder, you're gonna do the exact same thing we did before, but instead of when you open going straight to the wheel head, you're gonna leave a thickness down there. You want it about the thickness of your pinky, like this way. So about that thick is a good thickness. A little thicker is good, but you want to try to make sure it's not too thin. You're going to have ones too thin, some too thick. That's just going to happen. So to start that, you're going to take your next ball of clay, kind of slap it around, get it nice and round, smack it dab in the center, just like before, wiggle it, make sure it's stuck to the base, get it spinning, start kicking, and then just like before, we're going to get our sponge, get some water out here, and then we're going to start centering. You're going to press that down, connect those pinkies to the wheel head. Once it starts to get dry, add a little bit of water. You don't want to add too much. And then you're going to slowly cone up, just like that. Some more water, cone down. And I suggest watching these videos over and over so that you can really see what I'm doing in detail. There's also a lot of good YouTube videos on how to do this. Like I said, this is just one of many ways to do it. There's hundreds of different ways that people throw. Everyone's hands are different. Everyone's joints are different. Everyone's body is different. So just in case, if you find a way that works really well for you, do it that way. You don't have to do it the way I do it. But what I'm showing you is the basics, and I would like you guys to start and try the way I do it, and if you need to adjust it from there, go right ahead. But if something's really working for you, and you're getting beautiful pots, don't stop it. Keep going. So I'm just coning up and down. Keeping really steady, keep my elbows in, attached to my thighs, keeping one hand as my guiding hand, one hand as my rock, I like to call it, as your nice and sturdy hand. You always want to have that anchor so that you're stable. You don't want to be sitting up here like this, moving around. You want to be anchored down and in. Use your whole body. It's not just about the wrists and hands, it's the whole body. Okay, I'm going to cone up and down one more time. Okay, you want to get it to about looking like that. Add some more water. And this time when we open, we're going to open it up slowly. But then we're going to stop. And what I like to do is I like to take my pinky that's on the outside here, that's against the wheel head, and my thumb here. And then I can kind of feel how thick that is with the difference of height between where my pinky is and where my thumb is. And right there, I think it's pretty good. Get rid of some of that excess slurry. Put some more water in there. And now what this is the hardest part, is to get that floor nice and even. So what we're gonna do is, just like we did the rings, we're gonna pull backwards towards us with your finger. But what we're doing, instead of hitting that wheel head, we're gonna keep that nice and level and keep that floor about that thickness. Keep it nice and level. Once we do that, take your sponge, and this is called compressing the bottom. This is very important because in throwing we have something called an S-crack. And that's due to the inside shrinking faster, or the outside shrinking faster than the inside, or vice versa. And that's going to create a crack. But if we compress, those particles are all going to be aligned along that bottom. And it's going to allow us to not get any cracks, allows us to smooth it out. And if there's any kind of undulation when you open that bottom, you're able to smooth it out and flatten that out nice and flat. So you're going to do that. I just kind of take that and go back to the edge, to the center, to the edge, and to the center, back and forth a couple times, and we're good. So this is going to be very similar to our rings, but now we're going to want to get all this clay up into a tall wall, and we want that wall of a cylinder to be taller than it is wide, okay? So we're going to add some water, and this is when I like to use the sponge. A lot of people use their fingers, but I think the sponge is really nice. It really helps with beginners. So you can get that spinning. And then on the outside, you're going to want to push in on the outside underneath this hand. So the inside hand is going to be above the outside hand. And the outside hand is going to push in, and the inside hand is going to push out. So always think kind of opposites a little bit. So out, in, out. It's kind of the easiest way to think about it. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to push in, and then on the inside hand, I'm going to push out. And now you can see this little bubble of clay. So this is what we're going to slowly be moving up. And this is the hard part, because cylinders are a lot harder than bowls. Bowls, the centrifugal force of the wheel moving is going to want that clay to come out. So what we're going to do is we're going to make that clay go up straight. So to counteract that, we want to go up and in versus what you would normally think is going straight up. If we go straight up, that centrifugal force is going to make that go out, okay? So what I always tell people is when you're pulling, pull towards your nose. So look over, make sure, think about your nose is over the exact center, and then pull towards it. So what you're gonna do, you're gonna push that in, push that out, and then you're gonna pull towards your nose, okay? So we're gonna pull this up. Again, push in, and then up. We're gonna pull up. And then as we get to that first pull, you take your sponge and wrap it over the edge. And you can see I'm supporting it like this. And then this hand has that sponge. And you're gonna press down ever so slightly. And what that does is that keeps that rim nice and symmetrical, nicely centered, and also rounds it and compresses those particles to keep it stronger. If you have a weak rim, it's gonna flop and it's not gonna stay centered. So the rim is one of the most important spots. Okay, so then we're gonna go for that second pull. So what I like to do is, like I just show you, have my two fingers like this, thumb on the outside, fingers on the inside, and I just squeeze that sponge above my fingers, and it goes on the inside and the outside at the same time. It's a nice little trick, save you some time. Wets the whole thing. Okay, then we're gonna go down the bottom. We're gonna do the same thing. We're gonna push in with the sponge, and the inside hand is just above it, so it's like this. And then push out from the inside hand just slightly, and then that is just gonna go slowly up. And since we're on the kick wheel, the speed is gonna be starting to slow as you get to the top. So as you reach the top, go even slower. As the wheel slows, you slow. Always remember that. If the wheel is slowing down, you need to slow down. And if the wheel is getting way too slow, it may be a time for you to gently let go of the clay, get some more water on it, and kick it some more to get it back up to speed. Okay? So now Do that, and we're getting a pretty good cylinder. So, and then wrapping that around, compressing that. And what I like to do is I like to take my finger, you see that little triangle it creates? Let my fingers do that. And that creates a nice bevel on that rim. And when we start making cups, that's gonna feel really nice on your mouth as a finished cup. It's gonna help the liquid that is gonna be in these cups to pour into your mouth naturally, smoothly, without dripping down your face. Trust me, a lot of my beginner cups that I had liquid dripping down them. That was never fun. Now you're gonna take your rib. Now what I like to do, and this is something you don't have to do, but I like to do, is take that point, supporting from the inside, and just get that little excess out there, and it's on there. You just take that off, put it in your slop bucket, and then you go back down and kind of support, and then just kind of gradually, with your hand on the inside supporting it, have that go up. And that smooths it out, creates a nice straight wall. You can also take your stick and kind of gently just kind of bevel that in a little bit. And I like to do that because that gives it a spot for the cutting wheel to go underneath, okay? So now we just want to clean it up. Take our sponge, kind of clean up our rim a little bit. Clean up the inside. You want to make sure that there's not a pool of water on the inside. You want to make sure it's all been sponged out and into your bucket. Once you're done with that, what you're going to do, you're going to stop your wheel again, just like with the ring. You're going to take your cutting wire and get that going slowly, having it taut with your fingers, pressing it against the floor of the wheel head, and then move it slowly towards you. You never want to go away, you never want to move it away, just go straight down and towards you. And I would do that a couple times. Twice is good enough. And at this point, you want to have your board ready. Just have your board ready. You want to stop the wheel. You want to dry off your hands. You want to make sure your hands aren't a bunch of gooey mess or wet. Then you're going to take it, and just like a cold winter's day when you have hot coffee or tea, you're going to cup it like that. Okay? Cup it gently around. Pinky's on the base head. Cup it gently around. And then what you're going to do is you're going to lift gently towards you and then rock. And see? Now that just comes directly off and is ready to go on your board.
When you guys are done with all of your rings and cylinders, or as you're going, either way, please cut them in half. This is going to allow you to see your profile and your contours lines that you're creating in the pot a lot more clearly than just looking at the exterior. And when you cut your cylinders, just kind of slide it back like I'm doing here, and then wiggle it forward and then straight up. This is going to allow you to see your wall thickness and how even your bottom and your wall is. You want that bottom to be just as thick as your wall, and you want your wall to be vertical and very, very even throughout it. When you're done for the day, about 10-15 minutes before class is over, we're going to have everyone clean up their stations and sanitize their stations. Here I'm just showing a quick time lapse of me cleaning up for the day. Please make sure that your wheel is clean, your seat is clean, the splash pan is all cleaned out and put away. Use the sink to clean all your tools and your bucket. Any water, go ahead and sift off, but any kind of chunks or gloopy stuff in the bottom, please put it in the reclaim at the front of the classroom. And once you're done with that, put all your tools on your shelf and you're good to go.